Welcome everyone for the sixth session of the How I Built This series, 100 Days of No Code. Today, Domhnall O'Hanlon will show us how he built a mobile app with Thunkable. I know Domhnall as one of the participants of our bootcamp, which is almost a year ago already. So that was fun. And then during the bootcamp, you built Wordle. If I recall well, also a Wordle variant with no code tools, of course. You're really going for it at Thunkable, and I'm sure this will be fun. So for the people here, thanks for joining us. People who are watching this afterwards, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out afterwards. And I'm excited to have you here, Domhnall, and curious to see how you built this.
Cheers. Thank you, Harold. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and hello to everybody in the 100 Days of No Code community. It's brilliant to be back on another talk, and it's great to see again this whole series. It's great to be part of this series. Really enjoyed Kat and Lee's talks earlier, and hoping to kind of contribute in some way to the knowledge and to the community there as well. As you mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about my own building experience during the 100 Days of No Code bootcamp. It was such a rewarding experience, both to kind of learn about the new technologies, the new things, but also just to meet and connect with other no coders of all different levels and abilities. So without further ado, let's kind of jump into the slides here, I think. This is me. My name is Domhnall. I work for Thunkable. That's the logo on the other side of the screen here, if you're able to see my mouse. I'm in year 5, recently just passed my 5-year workiversary, or Thunkiversary as we call them. And so in startup years, I've been saying it's about 35 years. So I've seen a good bit, I think, at this stage. The it that I built, as Harold mentioned, was called Hello Wordle. It was built over a year ago at this stage, but at the time, the now New York Times game Wordle was a very, very popular viral sensation, and it was very similar. It had it's built in code, but it has a lot of similarity, or I think it resonates with a lot of folks in the no code community, because it was just a solo coder with a kind of quite a simple idea, executed really, really well, and ultimately turned it into a business. And as I mentioned, successfully sold. It's successfully acquired by the New York Times then late last year. And Thunkable, for folks that aren't familiar with it, I guess, is a kind of an all-in-one platform where you can create a project with us, and you can export it as an iPhone app, a Android app, or a web app. So it's a single code base deployable to all 3 of those platforms. And I thought it'd be a cool idea to marry those 2 things together, essentially building my own no code, Teachable or Udemy or something like that, where folks could come along and they could learn the basics or the fundamentals of our platform by building this very, very popular game at the time. And it was incredibly rich and rewarding experience. As I mentioned, there was a lot of places and times when I got stuck along the way, and it was great to have the community to be able to ping folks in Slack or ask them on the hackathon, hey, how do I do this? Or what are the options available to me here as well? So I want to jump into that a little bit more and talk about the platform, and obviously talk about the tools and the tooling that I used. It's been a great year for us as a company, I guess. Earlier in the year, we announced our Series B, raised $30 million, and the idea is to bring this to even more users. So we got 3 million so far, so we obviously want to scale to the next 3 million and beyond. And I think that the tools that we have for doing that are really, really powerful. Internally, in terms of the organization, as I mentioned, Harold, earlier, just back from a great team trip to the States, we started the year with maybe 15 or 16 folks, and it looks like we're going to wrap up December with about 42 or 43, I think. So it's been a fun journey. I haven't had the chance to participate in the 100 Days community as much as I would like, but that's because we have been super busy on the no code app front, which is good news. My original title for this presentation was 10 Things I Hate About Code. I ditched that in favor of just sticking with how I built it, but they have a rom-com theme running through my no-code journey. So I'm going to start off today. I'm going to talk a little bit about my own foundations and the company's foundations, and then when Domhnall met Thunkable. Then we're going to do the building the app. This was the hackathon, so that was the culmination of the boot camp. I wasn't in Seattle at the time, but I was in the west of Ireland, so I'm calling this chapter Sleepless in Killarney. And then the final thing now this is like what I've been up to for the last 6 months, running this kind of e-learning course, which is the all email based. So you've got mail, obviously, is the perfect title for the third and final chapter. And then we'll throw it open and we can take questions and we can go from there. So chapter 1 is when Donald met Thunkable. And this was a little bit about my background and me kind of deciding that I wanted what they were having or what they were building. So what was that? I was studying engineering originally at the time, manufacturing engineering at university. So I consider myself a fairly technical person, MATLAB and LabVIEW and kind of other kind of technical, visual coding, visual programming like that. But like a lot of folks in a lot of different roles, I think probably the go-to maybe no-code tool for a lot of folks is a spreadsheet. And so you'd have tons of data there, and maybe the original, the OG, maybe no-code tool is probably an Excel sheet or a Google sheet now, as the case may be. And so loads of data, loads of kind of technical expertise, but certainly not a software developer by any means. And so then I started using no-code tools to teach folks about app development. And this is just a screen grab of Juma off YouTube, Joma rather off YouTube. But this is a little bit what it felt like sometimes, that when I was building a website, I was in one editor. If I was trying to teach folks how to build an Android app, I was on another editor. And the big problem was then that people wanted to build apps for their iPads and their iPhones. This is going back 8 or 9 years ago at this stage. And the first thing I had to tell folks, okay, first of all, go buy an iPhone, go get yourself a MacBook, go, invest very, very heavily in all these tools that you need. And then, and only then, will you be able to start scratching the surface on iOS development. And so, like I say, 6 years ago now at this stage, Thunkable came onto the scene, and that was kind of the promise of the platform at that time. It was like, okay, we're going to have one project, one code base, if you will, one project base, and you're going to be able to export that to multiple different platforms. So it did start as Android only. I think, here we go, 2018. This is me down here when we launched. This was the day we launched cross-platform. So it's the very first kind of version of this where you had iOS and Android from a single project. So it was such an exciting time. And we've, as I mentioned, we've grown and grown since then, both in headcount and functionality as well. And so the kind of the state of play at the moment is this project, a Thunkable project, integrates natively with what have we got up here? We've got Cloudinary. So for any of your media storage, you can drag and drop stuff directly into Cloudinary files, or you can push stuff from the app itself. Airtable, which I'm going to go into kind of in more detail in my project, but obviously here, this idea of being able to take a spreadsheet and turn it into an app. If I'd have known about this, or if this had existed, 5 or 6 years ago, this would have been just such a killer app for me. But it's great that we have this in our platform now, and we see so many of our users getting great value and great return. So it's something that you can do. And I've done previous webinars before where we look at how we can turn a spreadsheet into a fully functioning app in a very, very short amount of time. But then also, if you want to make it a little bit more technical, if you want to go down the route of adding in Firebase, so Firebase sign-in and authentication, Firebase storage, that kind of thing, so you can have real-time communication directly in the app. Webflow is the logo up here in the top right, so you can connect to, if you're a Webflow developer, as I know many folks in the community are, you can build a mobile application with us on top of the Webflow backend or the Webflow database that you already have in place. So you're swapping out your web front end for an iOS or an Android front end there. The nice thing about that and similar kind of integrations here is that, like, if you are an agency and you're working on Webflow and you have a client and they're looking for the mobile version as well, you're able to very quickly create something for them in our platform and deliver to your clients, and not have to say, oh, sorry, I can't do native mobile development here. And the final thing that we have down in the bottom right, this is Figma. Very, very powerful, well-loved design tool that's quite popular at the moment, acquired by Adobe as well in the last year. They've had a busy year. And so, the ability then to import files from Figma directly into our platform as well. And that helps accelerate your development as well. And there are kind of, I guess if you were to summarize it, like, they are the two kind of value props that Thunkable has. So one is that like have a single project and deploy it anywhere, and the other is you can move an awful lot faster. So it's the speed at which you're able to like turn around projects and get stuff delivered for clients or for your company or for your community, whoever it happens to be, whoever your end users are. Thunkable allows you to move quickly and get your app into their hands, basically. So yeah, this is Sleepless in Seattle / Sleepless in Killarney. This is the tag for this movie is like, what if someone you never met, somebody you never knew was actually the person for you, was actually the one for you. And this, I think, very much sums up my newfound love affair with yep.so, which is one of the no-code tools that we were introduced to on the boot camp, and I think it's still part of cohort coming in for 2023 as well. And so the idea, like I say, was to build a course and to teach people about building an app version of Wordle. And conventionally or traditionally, I think I would have just built it, or I would have put a poll in our community or something like that. But with this tool, I think I can jump over here to yep.so. Yeah, this is the actual thing here. Yeah, it was so easy just to create this landing page, have 2 or 3 pieces of information about the thing itself, about the course itself. This was my first experience. It actually took me 11 minutes. So if you're looking for a product endorsement, I'm right here on the website. I was able to send that out to my friends, to our users, to whatever it was, and gather all that information. Actually, this is the thing down here, isn't it? Group this into Airtable. So because it's already, an integration with Thunkable, I had a little bit of familiarity with it. I knew enough to be dangerous. So I was able to see straight away who were the people that were interested in this kind of e-learning platform, and was able to, work really closely with them while I was prototyping it as well. So in terms of like validating the ideas quickly and with very little effort, like 11 minutes worth of effort, this was game changer for me anyway, for sure. The hosting, I think, is the next thing I have here. This is like hosting the course, building the course out. So about an hour worth of content or so. Whole thing just at the moment, there's so many video players you can use and so many like Cloudinary hosting services or whatever. At the moment, the handiest thing to do, or the quickest and easiest thing to do, was just put the whole thing up in YouTube. And so yeah, again, earlier, so I've been running my YouTube channel for a number of years now, and I think normally if I had an idea for this, I would have just kind of shot the videos and just released them and put them out there, and it would have been very ad hoc. And so thinking about kind of the 11 minutes that I spent here on this landing page, I kind of figured that it takes about, for every 10 minutes of video, it took about an hour, let's say, of recording, scripting, editing, publishing, and so forth. So we're talking about 6 maybe to 8 hours worth of work that I might have just put in there just on a whim. But again, with 11 minutes in this no-code tool, I was able to see that, hey, maybe this is 8 or 10 hours of video recording and editing time that will be well spent, and you will get viewers and signups and stuff for it as well. So this was the easiest, the most accessible, and certainly, it's still what we're relying on. You can't kind of go wrong with the world's largest video hosting platform, I don't think. And so then, like I say, this is kind of where we started to learn things then. So bringing all of that data from yep.so, from that front page, bringing it into Airtable then. And initially I had various different tags, and the status tags here, by changing those tags, that was the trigger to send the email. So it was very manual. It was I had like a reminder in my phone every day to go along and to check this Airtable. And the reason I haven't scrolled down further is because I kind of got not bored of it, but it wasn't an efficient use of my time. And that's where having access to the 100 Days of No Code community was really, really valuable. So we were able to work with other folks there and find scripts that would automate this for me. It's going to be Sorry, it's chilly here as well, so the heater's just kicking on in the background. But yeah, we were able to find scripts that would automate this, and basically 3 times a week, that was the kind of cadence that we felt was nice, would send out a new email digest updating folks. Okay, this is part 1, welcome to the course. Here's part 2, here's designing your user interface. Part 3 then is going to be around the coding and the logic, and part 4 then will be like testing it and distributing and stuff like that, and walking people through the various different steps.
Domino, were Airtable automations already around back then?
Yeah, so they were that was my first foray into that, I think, Harold. Yeah, so that every time, and I think actually I had a separate thing set up here, and which is still running. So that every time a new person signed up, it would notify me then in Slack that there was a new person in the funnel, as it were. And then I was doing even some kind of more granular type stuff here with filters in Airtable. So if they signed up with a Gmail or a Hotmail or a Yahoo in their email, I was tagging it here as personal, and then any other thing I was tagging them then as business. And again, not 100% accurate, but again, directionally it gave me a good sense. Are people signing up from companies? Are they signing up with their own personal email addresses and that kind of stuff? And it allowed me to kind of make decisions about future content and things like that as well. Jumping in here, this is what the original emails look like. So day 1, these are the 8 different days through the course. Day 1, you got the welcome, all the way down to day 8, which is publishing your app. And like I say, for those first couple of weeks, it was literally me moving people from day 1 to day 2 and having that fire it off and send off the automation stuff. And actually logistically, our little campaign, where folks were in the campaign, logistically, it was actually fine. You know, it wasn't a big ask or a big lift. And I guess obviously as that went from hundreds to thousands of people or whatever, it probably would have been a much poorer use of my time. But the one bit of feedback, I think, we're using just the native email integration in Airtable. And at some stage anyway, I signed up for doing kind of richer HTML emails or something like that as well. And that was a significant increase then in the cost. But the big thing there was the quality. So like the emails that you kind of get out of the box were just very heavily Airtable branded. They were all just plain text. And we wanted a bit more, branding and consistency and stuff across those. So the final part, and this was kind of a later iteration. The final part then was just to move everything over to MailerLite. And again, it was a community recommendation. So we have various different pieces of software that we use internally and stuff that I've used myself in the past. But this is actually a very positive experience, I think, for me, because I was able to set this up as a drip campaign. So once somebody kind of got dropped in, you were able to send and schedule it and stuff when they would get emails and when they would be passed from, day 1 to day 2 to day 3. And so on. And again, you've got your stats and pretty good open rate. Again, people are interested in it anyway, because they're interested in it because they've like self-selected by signing up in the ep.so page. And admittedly now this hasn't been updated or maybe maintained as well as it should be. But just having all this data here, having all this information here was really, really useful. And it was evident to me how easy it would have been to scale this and to grow this for, again, I think it was 10,000 users or something like that. Anyway, it was a fairly generous free allowance that came with this, or 10,000 emails per month or whatever it was. So we weren't anyway in danger of challenging that for the first couple of weeks or the first couple of months. And again, being cost conscious or whatever, and we were able to do this very economically as well. And then the final thing, you've got mail, I guess. So this was it, setting it up, building it. These are the emails I think that are being sent out, and it's about kind of the idea is like reducing people's decisions that they have to make. So a lot of the decisions are made for them just by following along with the course. One of the things that I personally like as an experienced user of our platform, of Thunkable, is that I can kind of do anything I want with it, I suppose. But when you're new to any platform, and again, Kat kind of touched on that, I suppose, in her talk, was like, why would you have this no-code guru? Why have this no-code? But it's about those recommendations. What do I need? When should I use them and stuff like that? And so we tried to take a lot of those decisions away from folks and get them to a nice-looking, highly functional app as quickly as possible. So the journey itself begins actually with this Figma file. So it's publicly available in the Figma community. Here we go. You can have a quick look at it. It's called Hello Wordle. So if you search for Wordle rather, you'll find it. But in this file, you get all the, here we go, all the layouts and stuff. So this is the splash screen. This is the actual grid itself. Actually, maybe I should have led by showing the actual Wordle game itself, but hopefully people are familiar. It's a 5-letter word and you have 6 or 7 guesses to guess the correct word. And then I have a couple of blank screens here for instructions on how to play it, recording statistics, and then setting up your settings, which I don't actually think is in the first version of the course, but turning on dark mode and that kind of thing. But these are the 2 main screens that the course itself focuses on. So connecting screens and then dynamically generating this grid. So let's jump back here for a second, not too far. So that's it. So you take that Figma file, it's got all the colors, it's got the fonts, it's got all the images, everything that you would need to follow along with the course that's contained in, and you're able to import it then into Thunkable. So this is what our platform looks like, where you have different sections. So there's one part of the platform is for designing your UI. Another part then is for adding logic, adding interactivity to it. And then the final part then is around the testing. So we give users a lot of options. And again, like I say, this was very prescriptive. It's like, use this for your design, use these logic blocks, and use this method for testing. So the blocks, like I say, the logic, this is where it gets, again, like I say, really interesting for me, is because once you kind of have an algorithm like this, which is like make 5 blocks on the screen and repeat those blocks 6 or 7 times, you can use that anywhere. So you can create a store, to have 2 or 3 items in your store and go through every element in your Webflow inventory, go through every element in your Bubble inventory, whatever it is, and duplicate those store listings. So it is very transferable, but it's also it's very powerful, very extensible, let's say. It's essentially a full programming language in the platform itself. So we've got loops and variables and functions and all that kind of stuff as well. And I think the best thing to do is probably to have a quick look at it, and we can do, why not make it interactive? What was I going to say? Yeah, so the idea here, 2, 3, I think there's 7 guesses in the real one. I've got 6 here, maybe just to make it a bit more challenging. We have a few folks on the call. Why not type in a 5-letter word here into the chat? What I can do is I can type it into the game here on the screen, and we can take turns and see if we can actually solve this particular puzzle. It's not actually today's one, just in case. Because I know we spoke about spoiler alerts earlier on, not in the context of Wordles, but nice. Okay, let's try that one. Let's try check. So it updates, I guess, each of the elements on the screen as you're typing. You can click guess. And so we see that we have a C at the beginning. We also have an E somewhere in the word, but it's not the 3rd letter. And then there's no H and no K, and there's only one C in the word as well. You can see people are thinking and stuff like that as well. So like that, however. Let's try that. Move the E to a different place. Okay, I guess. I cleared it. Sorry. Oops. Check. And great. I'm going to guess clear anyway, because I want to try all of this. So we do have an or in here. Oh yeah, sorry, we haven't learned anything. Sorry, we've learned that there's no L, but I can go ahead and just guess crane, and that was the correct word. So it does the validation and stuff like that. Goes through them one at a time, and yeah, we can confirm it that there. And we've successfully solved the puzzle here, I guess. Looking at kind of how that works, or how it might work. Here is my Wordle. Let me make a copy of this into my own account. I think you can see my whole screen. Hopefully you can. Are you able to see the kind of the URL up here at the top? So what I would do is
Yes.
I grab that URL at the top, and let me zoom in a bit here just to show you kind of the idea of how it would work. Over here in Thunkable, you've got all the UI components. Those kind of drag and drop anywhere on the screen. They're quite straightforward to use. Data sources is kind of what I had touched on earlier. So this idea of being able to directly connect to Airtable, Google Sheets, and Webflow. Lots of folks then as well, kind of in the field, or maybe that don't have, great, Wi-Fi or connectivity. We can actually do local storage as well. So you can either ship the app with data in it, or you can kind of cache stuff, I suppose, for online, for retrieval at a later date. But lots of ways to kind of just hook your app up to like that, an existing data source. Assets then are what we're interested in here. So typically what you do with an asset, I guess, is upload. So I could go to, sorry now for all the scrolling, I could download all of these images, my phone layouts here. Let's say I could download this picture, and then I could come back to Thunkable and I could upload that as a asset called image illustration. So I can add that here. Let's choose that. I don't think you can see the picker, but I'm just grabbing image illustration, and you can see here it's nice and lightweight as well. That's all good. If I wanted to display it in my app, so again, for a more complex layout, this is typically what we would recommend, and particularly for a dynamic kind of UI. We'll look at that as well in a second. But it's very easy to get assets from, Photoshop, Canva, Figma, wherever it is, and get them then into the platform. But what I wanted to show you, of course, was this ability just to bring in frames, import frames directly from Figma. So I do need to sign in because I'm in a private window here. Work account, I think that's what I need. And that's kind of a one-time operation. Anytime you're connecting to Google Sheets, anytime you're connecting to Airtable, anything like that, you would see, the login. There we go, confirmation. It's me, it's okay. And access here, so get access to that file. Okay. This is the finished one. So sorry, once you're connected, that's a one-time operation, one-time setup. You can choose here my phone layouts, click on import, and then it will just bring the assets and the kind of color palettes and all the stuff that I had directly into the app here, like this. And we can see then that the kind of components that I had, so the frames, I have a help page, I have game page, screen game, I have what's other stuff here, screen stats. So they are all the frames that I have here. This doesn't zoom very nicely. So over here, the frames that I have and the components that are on them, they are the components ultimately then that end up here. And let me zoom out a small bit. I can collapse all of these here. I'm gonna get rid of screen one. We want to go just very quickly from our intro screen, which is this one here, and we want to bring folks to our game screen. We should be able to drag and drop these screens around as well to reorder them. Let's pop our intro screen up here at the top. Lovely. And now, the final thing you would do, like I say, is that's kind of later on in the course, is you would learn about testing. So a couple of ways to do it. One is you can test directly here in your browser. Zoom in and out based on your own preferences. The other thing that you can do is, we haven't done anything here yet, so it's not going to do anything for us, but I'll wire that up in just a moment. The other thing then is that we do have our own app called Thunkable Live, and so it's available then for Android and for iOS. And you should, when I open this up, this is something, again, you can install on your device, and like in real time, it does feel like magic sometimes, but in real time, you can, you can see what's going on there. So I'm actually signed in with a different account. There we go. And the nice thing then is that as you make changes here in the browser, the changes then are actually reflected in real time on your device. So that's hopefully there. Oh, it's a little bit blurry, but anyway, you can see not so clearly that the thing that we have on the screen is what's appearing on the phone. And then the final thing then, of course, is the ability to take this app out of the platform, like we were saying, and publish it as a web app, publish it to iOS, and publish it to Android. And let's just wire these two screens up, because I don't want to take up the entire hour of just me chatting away. Let's try this one. When we click this button, this begin button, we want to navigate to the game screen. I'm going to test this out really quickly in my web previewer. Yeah, so it brings me over to my screen. I should have maybe some sort of a back button there as well, but it's like puzzle pieces, like jigsaw pieces basically. And the only challenge, I suppose, for a new person is to kind of orient themselves to the platform. Where are all of those blocks and the events? So like if you're working with this button, changing any of the properties of it, changing its height, adding this event listener here, click event listener, they're all associated with that component. If you want to like tap into the resources of the phone, so text to speech, play music, play videos, anything like that, work with the camera on the device, all of those are actually in their own kind of categories. And then some of the stuff that we kind of glossed over maybe a little bit earlier, this idea of like setting up loops or having little tests. You know, if the word contains the letter C and it's in the right place, change the color to green. If it's in the wrong place, change the color to yellow, that kind of stuff. This is all built in here. So you're able to like combine this together very, very efficiently and effectively. And then for the no-code community specifically, I think working with Bubble databases, Xano databases, Webflow inventories, whatever it is that you have, we have all of these object blocks here kind of ready to use. So it's very quick and very easy then to connect to any data source on the web, pull all the information real time, up to date into your UI, into your mobile app, and show the contents of that. So very, very flexible in terms of what can be done. And maybe just one last kind of fun thing to do is that ability to publish as a web app. And again, all it does now is just has a green button that you can copy, you can click on, but you can actually create a web app that you can share. And again, the scenario being like if you were an agency, I'm going to pop it in the chat so everybody else can try it out, so you can go from one screen to another. But if you're an agency, you want to show your client your work. Typically that's a presentation or some sort of Loom video or something like that. But in a scenario like this, you can actually basically give them the app without actually ever just giving them the work in progress. So you're able to show them, this is the progress we've made today, or this is the progress we made this week. Sign in as normal, click on these new options, click on this new feature that we've built, test it out and let us know what you think. And then because it all lives on the web, you're not going through the Play Store or the App Store waiting for approval and clearance and all that kind of stuff. So certainly in that, like I say, the kind of that one of those main value props is that you're able to move really, really fast with our platform, and this is one of those features in my opinion and my experience where certainly folks get a lot of value, I think, from it. So that's probably enough talking from me, I think, at this stage. But yeah, would love to throw it open for any questions or comments or whatever. And I can where are my slides? I go back to the beginning here. I'm happy to kind of chat about the experience or the platform or the company or anything that happens to be top of mind for folks.
Thanks, Domnul. Really, really great to see. And I still recall from your demo at the bootcamp as well. You are a really great storyteller. And now again with the movies you incorporated in this. So thanks. Awesome to see. I'm not sure if other participants here have questions, but I would be interested to see more of those puzzle pieces. For a no-code beginner, that might seem a little bit daunting, maybe. I'm not sure, because it resembles a little bit like code. If on the screen here, But when you were browsing through them, it's really interesting, and to see more like what kind of pieces you have there, because now I saw you talking about how you can put the pieces together like a puzzle and just add them to the app. Yeah, that seems really powerful. So yeah, perhaps you could dive into this a little bit more to see what's
I certainly can. I'm happy to. Yeah, if anybody then has any other kind of questions that you want to type out or jump in, because this is like a minute or two just to run through, but yeah, setting up a project is very easy. It's free to get started with the platform, and if anybody wants to learn more at any stage, get in touch with me or leave a comment or send us an email or whatever. But I think maybe one of the best ways to get started is with that, hook it up to a spreadsheet. So let me zoom in a small bit here, and let me put in our data viewer component, this, and we can connect it up then to a data source. Sorry, I like to be zoomed in as much as possible for demos, so that you can see everything, but it's a little bit easier to work a little bit further out to get the higher view here. So a couple of ways you can add the data source over here through the tab, or you can just connect it here. I'm gonna go for my sushi quiz. Where's my food? Street food. I think it's actually called my spreadsheet. Oh yeah. Food data. I think that's there. Let's take a look at this. So yeah, table. See if there's any data in that. Maybe there's not. There's nothing in that one. Helps to have data in the spreadsheet, of course.
I saw the sushi quiz. Was that the one?
Yeah. I'll add that because it has pictures and it has questions and stuff. That's
yeah, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, and also Oliver asked the question in the chat whether there's a way to save some of those logic blocks in functions in a library to reuse and find easily.
Great question. And let me answer that question in this demo. Okay, so we've got some pictures here. Let's display those. And then we have this answer maybe. So we'll show pictures, we'll drop folks into another screen, and yeah, we'll show them what the name of the sushi is in this case. So slightly different use case, but let's show a picture, I think. I'll go with this one. So secondary image. Then, sorry, wire this up. Choose this image. We should see all of these sushi like this, and then I think they'll just be okay. Well, they'll do for the moment. And then what I'm going to do, this is I want to kind of shoehorn in the blocks here as well. So let's show the name. We'll click on a picture, and the picture will tell us the name. And then I'll have a button here to bring us back. Start with the second screen, and make sure that this button returns us to screen 1, because otherwise we get trapped. And then here in our data viewer list, you can click on various different items. And it tells you if you click on the first one, the second one, the third one, that's actually all handled here by this row ID block. And you might just want to output it into the screen, but in this case, sushi name, I can create a variable. So it's just a container just for storing the name of the sushi itself. And to get the name of the sushi that we've clicked on, if we click on data sources here, we can just do get value from our spreadsheet. And then you can, again, just to highlight, I've only got a single sheet here in mind, but you can have multiple different sheets. And then it also allows you to drill down to the different columns as well that you have. So here's my answer column. And this block, like that, there isn't too much, programming to this. It wants to know one thing. It wants to know what row ID should I use? And then fairly intuitively, I guess, you're actually just able to grab here the row ID from whatever thing has been clicked, and then you're actually able to just get the associated piece of information. So this is in this case going to store the answer. So that's the actual name of the sushi. And once we've done that, once we've stored that in sushi name, I'm going to bring the user to the second screen, like that. And then this drops us into screen 2. And so the second bit of logic here is that when this screen opens up, when screen 2 opens, we can just update this label. And we're going to dynamically show the name of the sushi, the name of the picture that was clicked. And that should work then for all of the different items in our menu in this case. And so that's a very common pattern, I guess, that we see folks use. We'll click on the first one here. It tells me sake. If we click on this one here, maguro, and you can go through all the different ones here. And they should all give you different names. Now, so yeah, slightly contrived example, but very, very common, this kind of directory style app where you might have, for instance, one that we're working on at the moment. As I mentioned, the company has expanded somewhat this year. So we've got a little employee directory where we've got our photos and our names. You can click in then to each person and you can see what Donald's email address is, what his working hours are, all of that kind of stuff about individual people that are in your company, but maybe not necessarily on your specific team anymore, but this would be like a very common use case for that. So you know the person, you know their name, but you might have some extra information here on the next screen. All of that just lives in a spreadsheet. And then the lovely thing from a deployment perspective is when you build this and you publish this, whether it's a web app or whether it's in the Play Store or the App Store, when somebody else joins, and at the moment people are joining one or two every week, you don't have to update the app. You literally just go to the spreadsheet, you add an extra row, the person and their picture and their email address and their favorite food or whatever it is, and the app is automatically up to date because when it loads, it's in here, it's going to your data source like that, it's grabbing all the information from the sheet, and as long as the sheet is up to date, anything that you have in here keeps your app up to date. So it's a really, again, it's one of those things that allows people to move very, very quickly and to prototype and to deploy and to get feedback and get their apps out to users in a hurry. And go back to Oliver's question then, okay, can I reuse any of this? Let's say here in demo 1, let's just change something. Let's make the screen kind of slightly different color. Like that. And so I've now in this scenario, this is my directory page with my, my image and all my pieces of information. I've gone to the trouble and the effort of getting little icons and everything like that, for email address and for location or whatever it is. And now I want to reuse it, not for Thunkable, but I want to reuse it for 100 Days of No Code community. What we can do here is we can save this screen. How I built it, that. And then in any other project that I'm working in, so I had one called Wordle over here. Any other project that I'm working in, I can add a screen here like this from my saved screens. I have a few of them. Here's the how I built it screen that I created just a moment ago. And that's the the lovely design and all the icons and everything that I went to the trouble of designing and crafting, but also the blocks that I have created as well. And so you're able to write those functions once, and there's a certain portability to them. And obviously this project doesn't have a sushi name, sorry. Just update that there, and then this screen is actually screen 1 or screen intro, I think, or whatever it was there. So it does debugging, it does error checking, it does quite a lot in a fairly easy to use, fairly easy to get started with package. But that's definitely my kind of recommendation. I think if you're new to the platform, is like take a spreadsheet or do it the other way around. Build a data collection app. So just pop in a few text inputs like this. So we're adding a new employee, we're adding a new item to inventory, whatever it is. Inventory items are actually quite interesting because here we could just, in the camera, we could just get the barcode. We can go and click a button, scan a barcode, upload that to our Airtable. Airtable does all sorts of fancy things with barcodes and QR codes and stuff like that as well. So they're kind of two of the, nicest, most impressive, I think, apps from a corporate perspective anyway, to kind of get started with, and very, very accessible. And once you've built something like that and started to add in a little bit of logic here, if this is a QR code, if it has 13 digits, if it has 42 digits in it, whatever it is, you can upload it to Airtable, or you can upload it somewhere else, or you start to get the idea of the platform pretty quickly. So yeah, hopefully you've kind of answered those two questions reasonably well, or at very least kind of whetted your appetite to jump in and to try it out a bit.
Yeah, awesome. So if I understand well, the barcode scanner is also for the QR codes. That's the same. Awesome.
Exactly. I forget the exact number of formats, but all of the kind of the EAN 13s and the QRs and the there's a whole load of different ones that it supports out of the box.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like you can make some really flexible solutions with Thunkable. What's the craziest app, wildest app you are most excited of? What's built on Thunkable? Do you have an example that you are really always, when you see it, you are amazed of?
Yeah, I have a couple of really interesting ones we're working on at the moment that are under NDA. They will be out in the new year. So we'll be talking a lot about those. I think in the past we've seen such a wide variety. So we have some influencers, large kind of following on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and they've built kind of community apps to engage with their audience. So some of them that are at their heart, the blocks are very, very straightforward, but then what they've done is actually, even just to kind of show it a bit more here in the platform, but what they've done is kind of engage with their community really, really well, giving them challenges, giving them tasks, giving them things to do in the app. And then we also have the ability to monetize your app as well. So if you do have that large following, which a lot of our creators do, you're able to add in apps here for your ads, for blog content, additional video content, additional weekly challenges, whatever it is. We're coming to kind of the beginning of the year as well, so there's lots of great kind of like habit building apps out there as well, in terms of tracking habits, improving performance. I think that was kind of one of my my own ideas, I guess, behind getting involved in that 100 days, is like building that habit, doing something kind of consistently over several weeks. And then you'll notice then that there's a whole load of sensors in here. So things like Parkopedia, for instance, that kind of tracks, I think, over 1 million different parking spaces. People are able to tag where they've parked, where they've left their car, where other parking structures and parking facilities are as well. So there's lots and lots of great uses here for the platform.
Awesome. Yeah. You got any inspiration from this, Oliver or Pierre?
Yeah, sure. I was wondering, because I saw on the website I think some people used it to build IoT sort of. I'm guessing it's IoT kind of servers or whatever it is, or just pumping the data back from whatever sensors out there, I suppose.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find this one. So yeah, full Bluetooth component. Jean Fabrique, I think, would be one of the kind of ones that we would point to here. So these are a French company who do smart lamps, so Bluetooth sensor, and their app then here is using, where's our Bluetooth component here, and it's able to change the brightness, change the settings, change the time that it's on and off. So there's again, and you're just sending these commands back and forth here. So connecting to devices, and you're able to send, receive, transmit strings, transmit byte arrays. You're able to receive strings, receive byte arrays, and that kind of thing. So folks are able to connect. They have their app, which is very nice, very professional looking. Might not be linked out on their website. But, yeah, definitely worth looking, because it's here we go. Yeah, so that's what the app looks like. You're able to set timers, tell it when to turn on, when to turn off. set the brightness, all those kind of things directly there from the mobile UI.
That's crazy. Yeah, I see Pierre he's not on the mic, but he mentions in the chat that that's a feature he would like to try to connect with the sensors. So that's amazing. Curious to hear what kind of use case you have in mind, Pierre. But that's great. Yeah, it sounds like a really flexible builder you have there, and I'm sure in your educational resources there are a lot of things to get used to all those blocks and how to work with them to get beginners started.
Tons, yeah. So there's the documentation. Every component here that you see has its own documentation associated with it. So if we want to jump into our data list viewer, learn how that works. A lot of these components will also link out to associated videos. So we have a huge following over on YouTube as well. My personal preference usually is to watch it rather than to read it. So we've support both. Would also encourage folks to check out the Thunkable Academy as well. So that's a bit more structured, going through kind of step by step how to build a specific app. Whereas Docs is very broad. It's like kind of a general use case for a component. And then what else do we have? Our community itself, then, I guess. So there's over 1 million members in the community, very active, very supportive as well of other folks when they have questions. And then in the platform itself, which, not in this account, maybe, anyway, without clicking around too much, that we also have chat support and email support as well for our customers. So lots and lots of different ways to get guidance and get support on your projects when you need it.
Nice. Well, thanks a lot, Domhnall, to show how you built Wordle from the bootcamp to everything else, and showing us around in Thunkable. I think that's a really awesome tool, and I'm sure I see Pierre, Oliver nodding. Pierre already had some ideas I mentioned in the chat, so I'm sure people are going to try this out. But it's great to follow your journey from this, and thanks a lot for sharing this with us. And like you mentioned, the habit trackers and the New Year's resolution thing, which is coming up in a few weeks. That's always good inspiration to try to build something for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we run we have a competition in our community called the Weekend Design Challenge. So I think we have over almost 40 at this stage. And if folks are looking for ideas or inspiration on what they could build, there's like a challenge there, a topic that you can take. And then you can also see what other folks have built along the way as well. So nice. Inspiration and kind of how I did it or how I built it all rolled into one event there as well.
Nice. Can you share the link to the challenge in the chat? So that sounds interesting. I know I knew a few people in the community who probably see the recording afterwards that might be interested in challenges, because we are all into challenges here. So that would be great. Yeah.
This is the WDC tag, so Weekend Design Challenge, and you can go back. We're up to like mid-30s, somewhere in the 30s now at this stage of different. So it's it goes from rebuilding simple games, kids games or whatever it is, translating them from pen and paper into digital format. We've got reminder apps there, an Airbnb clone that was one of the bigger ones that ran for a couple of weeks. There's a lot of stuff there. Time tracker, Pomodoro timer, a lot of those ones. So something for everybody.
Great. Well, thanks. Wrapping up this recording now. For people who watch this afterwards, if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me in DMs on Slack, and Domhnall, of course, also in a community if you want to reach out directly. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will wrap up the recording here. See you next week. On Wednesday, we have another session with Dominic Norton about how he built a Chrome extension. So same time, same place, 7 p.m. London time. And looking forward to everyone to join us there. See you next week.